In 1990, Roger Corman produced the movie The Haunting of Morella. This one based on a short story from Edgar Allan Poe. And this is directed by Jim Wynorski. And talking of Wynorski's, this has a bevy of B-movie screen queens in it, including Nicole Eggert, the statuesque Lana Clarkson, Gal Thackeray, although going by Gal Harris in this movie, Debbie Dutch, Maria Ford, to name a couple there. And you've also got, obviously, quite well-known actor David McCallum. So quite a recognisable cast here of recognisable B-movie actors and character actors. And this is a period piece in the kind of the 19th century. And what we have is Morella is actually a witch, and she is married to David McCallum's character, but she is effectively executed in a horrific fashion for various kind of occult crimes. But there is a curse, and she has a young child, a young daughter, and effectively the curse is that in 17 years, when the young daughter will hit her 18th birthday, she's going to try and take over her daughter's body and kind of be resurrected. She has a disciple in kind of Lana Clarkson's character, and the story focuses on a few days before Morella's young daughter, Lenora, before her 18th birthday, and the attempt here to try and take over her body. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So, let's talk about it. So, Corman has actually produced quite a few Edgar Allan Poe movies, and this one is maybe one of the lesser known ones, I would argue. It's kind of relatively kind of good looking in some ways. It has a very kind of nice kind of gothic atmosphere. I mean, it is a low budget movie, but you do kind of like believe this kind of period setting. Yes, I know, like there's kind of like 80s kind of hairstyles, particularly kind of Lana Clarkson and big, 80s doing all that, but for the most part, I do think they do a pretty good job here of kind of giving you a authentic kind of looking kind of time period at some point in kind of the 19th century. Our opening scene with the kind of the execution of Morella is pretty horrifying. She's kind of crucified and has her eyes gouged out. That was a pretty kind of strong setup for the movie, and it has this kind of romantic kind of gothic kind of feel to it. It's all kind of soft focus and all of this. We have a handsome, dashing kind of like hero, damsels and things like that. Plenty of Wynorskis in this movie as well, as I've mentioned here, for all of you, lovers of human flesh, shall we say. So it has a kind of, it's quite visually interesting, I would say. The movie is a little slow-paced, but I think it has an interesting kind of premise. Obviously, it's because it's based on an Edgar Allan Poe story, albeit, relatively kind of loose adaptation. And there is a lot of human flesh on display here, particularly of the female kind, with all of our kind of screen queens stripping off at some point in the movie. So if you like, admiring the female form, you'll like this movie, I would suggest. There are a couple of kind of fun sequences, and particularly these sacrifices to Morella as the statuesque, seemingly super tall Lana Clarkson, sacrifices victims to, her kind of goddess, so to speak. It's a kind of a fun, if somewhat kind of throwaway kind of B-movie. I think one of the main issues with this one, yes, it's got lots of kind of B-movie screen queens, but I've got to be honest with you, the acting is a little bit kind of on the wonky side here. With some of the kind of the performances and the dialogue, it is a little cringe-worthy at times, and I hate to say it, but Lana Clarkson is probably one of the worst offenders here, if I'm completely honest, even though, gone before her time. I love Lana Clarkson, but yeah, this wasn't a particularly kind of dramatic role here. David McCallum kind of is the kind of the main actor at the time, I suppose, and I didn't really feel like he had a lot to do in this movie. He just kind of like is shuffled off to the kind of the side, and the movie kind of just meanders at some point. You never really feel like you have a kind of a a central character, really. It kind of just veers from one character to another, and you never really seems to be particularly kind of focused at any one point. I mean, it looks okay. Yes, it's a lower budget movie. Some of the sets look a bit ropey, but I've got to say, I think aesthetically, I kind of quite like this movie outside of, say, maybe a few kind of like out of place hairstyles and stuff. But if you don't mind a lower budget movie, I think it's kind of visually quite interesting. And it does have a kind of literary classic feel to it, even though it is kind of spliced in with schlocky elements like, you know, lots of kind of boobs and kind of somewhat silliness sometimes. And there are a couple of kind of weak effects as well. Overall, I gotta say, it's a somewhat kind of throwaway movie. It's probably good for a kind of a watch. I think there are probably better adaptations of Poe kind of stories that are out there. This one, it's okay. You know, it's an okay kind of one-time watch, I would say. I would imagine it's probably not on anyone's favourite lists or anything like that. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. This one is a 5 out of 10.